Good afternoon, everyone. It's hard to believe it's already afternoon, but here we are. Welcome to Wednesday, October 16th. We are so glad you guys could join us. I do see a few people still coming in from the waiting room and their audio still connecting, so I'll give them just a moment to get in the room. All right. We will go ahead and get started. I'm Jen Howard. I'm with MP May, an outreach coordinator that serves 21 CFC zones across the country. I'm joined by Courtney Plocke, who's here with us today to support this charity training. And I think I saw Andrew come in as well. All right, perfect. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. You guys are here because you guys are a part of the eastern area geographically of zones that we manage. And the eastern area includes Southeast Tri-States, Mississippi Delta, Greater Tennessee Valley, and then Western Pennsylvania and West Virginia combined federal campaign zones. So, and if you're from a different campaign zone and you managed to find the link and join us today, welcome as well. We are here to provide you guys training as 2024 CFC approved charities on how to participate in CFC events, how to promote your organization, and to go over the tools and resources that you have available to you, both on the CFC giving site as well as the CFC charities opm.gov site, which you guys should all have access to. And if you don't, we will support you in that process today. Can everybody see my screen okay? Courtney, do you see the screen? Yeah? Okay, perfect. So what I'm showing you here is the Give CFC website. GiveCFC.gov or .org is the domain. Courtney, if you want to drop that into the chat, that would be helpful. On this website, there are 3 tabs at the top: donors, campaign workers, and charities. So you guys are going to focus primarily on the charities tab. And I actually find the charities tab to be my favorite tab for what it's worth. The campaign workers and the donors tab just has so much information. It's just oversaturation of resources and tools and links, et cetera, for those stakeholders. And so that can be a little overwhelming, especially when you're new to the CFC. So the charities tab is a little bit more simpler and straightforward. And so I tend to favor it. When you come to this website, let me make it a little bigger. I know for me, my eyes are a little tired. When you come to this website, one of the first things you're going to want to do is make sure that you've registered to participate in events. Being approved as a CFC charity does not automatically sign you up for CFC events. You actually have to register to participate because not every CFC charity is available to participate in events, virtual, in person, et cetera. And so they do make you go through a process of saying, yes, I would like to participate in them. And then you have to give a little bit more information on the areas that you're able to travel to, and are you a local versus a national, international? What are your cause areas, et cetera. So has everybody here already registered for events? I know there's been several requests and emails that have gone out encouraging charities to participate. So hopefully everybody has gone through the process. If you have not gone through the process, please register today. We have federal employees that we have trained across these 21 zones, hundreds and hundreds of volunteers that we have trained. And part of their training is to make a plan and work a plan as they have a campaign this fall. And that includes hosting events. And so they're already planning events, requesting events, and you can see on the campaign workers tab, host an event, that this is the same site they use to request you guys as charities. So they are actively doing this. And if you're not currently registered, you will not begin to receive invites. So it is very important that you have registered for events. The next thing that you'll want to make sure that you have done as a nonprofit participating in this year's campaign is you'll want to make sure that you have submitted your information for the virtual charity fair. While the federal employees, the government has, in large part, we have seen a move back to the office for people to return to the workplace post pandemic. We still do have a hybrid work environment and or even a large amount of employees that are teleworking. And so because of this, it's very important that you participate in this virtual charity fair because coordinators are promoting and publicizing this as an option for federal employees to learn more about nonprofits and the great work that you guys are doing. You don't have to submit both a story, picture, and video, but you can, and I encourage you to consider doing that. If you have not yet done this, I also encourage you to come to the Campaign Worker tab, Virtual Charity Fair, and Courtney, if you want to drop that link into the chat for me, that would be helpful. And look at what other nonprofits have submitted. That'll give you an example of what they're doing, and you might find some constructive criticism of, hey, that's really good, but I could see us maybe doing this a little better, right? So take a look at what others are doing. I'll just click on one for example. We can see the City Dogs and City Kitties Rescue Group has submitted both a picture with a story. So this shows you what it will look like. And then they also have a video here that they have provided. And so again, for me, when it comes to learning, I like to see an example of what's expected or what's possible before I proceed with whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish. And so I do encourage you to come here and take a look at what other nonprofits have looked at, have done. You can see they obviously provide your CFC number, what type of charity you are, your cause area, cause of the week, etc. On your page. What's also cool about this page, guys, is it's a way you can promote your charity. You can see up here in the URL that City Dogs, City Kitties Rescue is its own link. And so sharing your page and your story is something, this is a tool that you have to promote and publicize your charity's participation with CFC.
Jen, sorry, what link are you wanting me to provide?
Oh, the link to the virtual charity fair where they submit for that. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you. So those are two things that if you haven't already done, first stop, get registered for events, and make sure you've submitted those two, if you can, both the video and the story. The other thing that I will point out on the virtual charity fair is that they do have some specific guidelines here that it can't be more than 50 megabytes. It's got to have closed captioning. This how to create a compelling video and video compliance document tells you how to do this. So don't get overwhelmed if you don't have, the IT department with the green screen and all that, because I know us nonprofits, we don't have those resources usually to create these fancy videos. Some nonprofits have it, but a lot of us don't. The instructions are here. It's very simple, I promise. Take a look at these documents, but make sure that you follow these guidelines, because if you don't, the video won't upload correctly. And then you've done all that work for nothing, right? So you got to make sure that you're following the instructions. What was one of those number one challenges in schools was that we never read the instructions, right? We just jumped right into the work and then realized that we, missed some pretty key points. So make sure you read through the instructions and take a look at these two links before you get started on that. Another thing on this webpage that's really important for you, I think is one of the most beneficial links on this page, is promoting yourself. So you guys applied to the CFC, you paid to play, you got approved. Congratulations. That's not an easy task. Promoting your involvement with the CFC is just as important as that entire process, so that federal employees know that you're CFC approved, that they know that you're in the list. And the truth is that the federal government is our largest employer. It has the largest number of employees in the country. And so chances are, whether it's on your social media, your website, your newsletter, however you're already marketing your organization in your community, federal employees are seeing it. I promise you, they are seeing it. You may not realize that they're federal employees, that they're your, postal carriers or in the military. Maybe they're in the reserves. Maybe they're retired from the government. Retirees can now give. And in fact, that's a quickly growing population of givers right now. We see exponential rates of growth with retirees giving through their annuitant check. And so whether they're retirees, contractors, or active federal employees, I promise you that they are seeing your organization in your community. So having the CFC logo posted on your website or on your social media account, put it in your newsletters. Think about where you're communicating with, the populations around you, whether it's people you serve or just the general public, and make sure that you have the CFC logo, because federal employees see that and they recognize it and they say, oh, I didn't realize I can give to them through my CFC. And what they know is that, and what we know is that when they use payroll deduction, that $5, $10 gift that was the one-time gift now just multiplied 26 times, right? And so it's a gift that is much larger than a direct contribution, and you guys can count on it because it comes through to you every single month when you receive payments, which is so important to nonprofits when they create their budgets and plan for their programs and stuff, as you guys know. So come here and make sure that you've got the logo. There's some identity guidelines here that also provide you, whether it's the font or the colors, the QR code, more information that you can utilize as well. There's a messaging document on how to craft newsletters and social media messages, which is super helpful. The cool thing about all of these resources is that CFC has done the work for you, right? We've created the wheel. You don't have to recreate it when it comes to templates and, the framework of promoting yourself. But what's even cooler is that you can actually use this in other areas of your fundraising. Don't limit it to CFC. If you see, great language, communication, let me pull this down. Sorry. I'm not always very good at screen sharing, so I forgive my fumbling of the ball here. But when you pull this messaging document, the talking points that are here, you could remove CFC from it and use it for other purposes in marketing your organization, in other campaigns even. So, I always try to be cognizant of where can I use this stuff even elsewhere beyond CFC, because I'm certain that you guys are participating in other state, city, municipal campaigns, et cetera, in your community. So, keep that in mind, that there's so much great content here. In fact, I know cities, state campaigns that are using this stuff. They're coming here and grabbing this. So if you see it being used, don't be surprised, because it's pretty well done. So this document's super helpful in providing you, again, talking points, messaging, and different, even how to message to retirees, right? So I would strongly encourage you to download this document and keep it as a tool as you guys lean into promoting your campaign with the CFC. And I think we just had, hey, Mike. Mike just joined us. Feel free to jump in at any point, Mike. Mike May is also with our organization, and he is the expert on charity training. So thanks for joining us, Mike.
You bet.
So another place to promote yourself is through social media. Down here, you will see that there is a posting schedule that we do have. In fact, the zones that you're in have their own Facebook pages. So depending on which zone you're in, and I'll jump over to Facebook and show you, for example. As you can see here, we have a long list of Facebook pages that we manage, 21 zones. Every zone has its own Facebook page. So, for example, I'll go to Southeast Tri-State, since that's one of the zones that you guys are joining us from. If you're not already following the page for the zone that you're a part of, please do so. And I'm happy to drop these. In fact, Courtney, if you want to drop these links into the chat, that might be helpful. Just go to the page, and then I think that's how that works. Let's see.
So Jen, I want to just interrupt. Have you tried your react button? It says be right back. I can't raise my hand. I would not have interrupted you, but it doesn't let me raise my hand. Does anybody else see under effects, it says be right back? Is that what yours says, Courtney? Oh, so it's just me. They don't want me to raise my hand. That's my team purposefully changing it. If everybody,
So it has react and then it has raise hand right beside it on mine.
Oh,
Oh, it's not under React.
Uh-uh.
Oh,
It's
user error
I don't see it at all now, so.
on the left, so I've screwed everybody up. If you would, everybody, put in the chat, because we get a lot of training done in the chat, and I'll be answering questions as Jen goes through this. But we want to make sure everybody understands who's in this room with you. So where you're calling in from, what your CFC code is. So I'm just going to make up a fake code. And then your years of CFC experience. Why this is important? Because so often we know the people that we're talking to and the people that are in this room with us, this Zoom call with us, are brand new to the CFC. And we want you to be comfortable knowing that any question that you ask to us is something that we've been asked at 8 o'clock or 8 o'clock Pacific time this morning when we had a bunch of charities from the northern area. And we'll be asked later on today when we get a bunch of charities from our southern area. We'll be asked tomorrow. And so many people like Cammie are new to the CFC, and you think, well, gosh, I think everybody else here knows all the answers to these questions. I'm just going to sit back. No, so many of us that are here now are new to the CFC, just got this responsibility delegated to them. They were voluntold to do it. Lee's shaking her head. She's saying, yep. Somebody just said, hey, you're in charge of CFC this year. So Lee Catherine, what a cool name. So please don't hesitate to ask a question as Jen goes through this material and I go through this material, that you shoot a question and say, I don't really get how CFC events works, or where do I ask questions, or who's the best person to contact. Know that the 5,000 charities that are in the CFC, and I work with charities that are in federations, and I work with charities that are not in federations, I work with locals, I work with nationals. About 40% of them have a new person that we need to contact each year. So the question that I answer today in the 10 o'clock hour is the same question I in the Pacific time in the 8 o'clock hour, and I'll answer in the 2 o'clock hour. So shoot it in the text or shoot it in the chat. I'll answer you. Jen will answer you. Courtney will answer you, and we'll make sure you get your questions answered. And no question is too simple, because there's a bunch of people that are new to this and they're thinking the exact same thing you're thinking. So please let us help you get your questions answered today. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So I did drop into the chat the links for the 4 pages for the zones that I believe you're from. If you're in a different zone or a different state, just let me know. As you saw on my screen, we have 21 zones we manage. And if you're from a different one, we're happy to connect you. Or you can obviously go to Facebook and do a search as well. But when you come to the page, definitely like the page and follow it. When you come here and you go to mentions, again, I like to see examples of what other charities are doing. And so you can see on this mentions tab, that's where you would go to see that on any page. When a person makes a post and tags something, it populates under the mentions tab of that page. And so you can see here that Ronald McDonald House, for example, of Mississippi, had shared a story. They tagged the page, which was fantastic. Let's see. And importantly, guys, they included their CFC code. I do sometimes see where charities will create a post and they will not include that number. Please make sure you know this and you include this code with any post that you do. But this is an easy way to promote and publicize your campaign. We know that social media doesn't necessarily raise money per se, but it does bring awareness to your participation in the program. And again, federal employees are already following your pages, whether you realize that they're federal employees or not. So when they see your organization sharing a CFC post, they will immediately recognize that and again, realize that they can give to you through payroll deduction through their combined federal campaign. And so knowing what your cause is, whether you focus in hunger, homelessness, animals, as you can see. Maybe you have volunteer opportunities and you said yes to volunteer opportunities when you submitted your listing information. This is a great post that we just posted 17 hours ago, where you can come and easily share this post and say, hey, federal employees, we have volunteer opportunities through your combined federal campaign. Please consider our organization when you pledge this year, CFC code 12345. Thank you for using CFC as your pathway for giving. And so it's an easy way. The post is already done for you. All you have to do is share it. And you can see again, poverty, there's videos, etc. that, and so here's an example of a charity commenting on a post. Global Impact has commented about poverty, and they've provided a picture as well, which is very impactful visually. So definitely make sure you're following your CFC Facebook page and that you're leveraging the posts that have already been created for you in promoting your organization this fall and its participation in the CFC. All right, so coming back to your page, the next thing that I want to show you is tracking your results. The system that hopefully you guys all have access to. And as Mike mentioned, we do recognize and appreciate that nonprofit turnover is real. So if you don't have access to this site, you'll want to gain access. And how do you do that? Unfortunately, not through us, but you can come up here to this help feature, contact us. It's pretty intuitive. You're a charity. You have questions about your distributions. That's something that you see on that site. The CCA is who you'll contact to gain access. So if you don't have access to cfccharities.opm.gov, please, I would recommend calling them. They're very responsive, and I'll drop this information to the chat so you guys have it as well. Give them a call and make sure you have access to this, and make sure that also you have more than one email entered into this system, because again, as Mike mentioned, nonprofit turnover being real, if you leave your organization and somebody else comes in and it's only your email that's tied to the system, then you've done the next person a disservice. So you'll want to make sure that if your organization has a email box like info@yourcharity.org or something that's more concrete and doesn't turn over, that somebody always has access to, you'll want to incorporate that email as well, listing that one in your profile. Mike?
Yeah, Jen, sorry, I just redid it. Can you let me share real quick? Thank you very much for showing this. I don't know why I did it that way. Nope, that's not right. User error. That CFC Charities, one of the things that we like to show in our training is showing you when you go to CFC Charities, what's going to be there. Now, Jen did a great job of taking you through, where to turn for help. But when you go to CFC Charities, know that you're going to find in the number one thing that you want to do after this meeting, the number one thing that you want to do this week, because some of you, and you can put it in the chat. Does anybody know when the CFC started this year, when it kicks off? Did you already cover that, Jen? Does anybody know? You can put it in the chat. You guys are new, so why would you know? Started September 1. Now you're probably thinking, wait a minute, Mike, it's October 15th. Why are we doing trainings now? Because you don't go into federal offices in September. Why? Because it's the end of the federal fiscal year. You walk into the federal office and Jen and her 2,000 volunteers in the 21 zones in the 35 states, they'll give you the Heisman. All right, they'll say, stay away till we get our budget set, okay? So the campaign really starts going in October, and the number one thing that you want to do after this meeting is to go to your account at CFC Charities, click on Pledges, and on the right side, see this view button? That's where the donor names are for folks that have given to you over the past 7 years, or as long as your organization's been in the campaign. When you click on that view button, there's two links at the top. It's really cool. It shows you where all the money comes from. You'll see that, you're in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you'll get gifts from around the country. You'll get gifts from adjacent campaigns. You'll get gifts from the national capital area because somebody in DC is from Chattanooga, or you'll get a gift from Joint Base San Antonio because somebody left Chattanooga and now they're in training at Joint Base Chattanooga. The one on the left, the link on the left, will give you details where all your pledges came from. So in this example, it's an organization that's in Houston, and they get a bunch of gifts from Johnson Space Center. And if you do an event, it's really cool at the end of that week or the end of that month to go and download this link and see. I did an event at Mike Monroney Center in Oklahoma City. I did an event at EPA in Chicago. I did an event at, DFAS in, not in Dayton, but in Southern Ohio. And you can see where that money came from, but that's not donor names. That's just the department, agency, office, whether it was a one-time gift, whether it was a recurring gift out of payroll deduction, whether it was given online, paper, all that information's there for you to download and look at. So check it out, especially if you do events, and you'll know where that money comes from. And usually it's an eye-opener. You'll know that the money comes from your local big office, or that you did an event, or your colleague did an event. But you don't have contact information. The contact information is the blue button on your pledge page. You click view on the right. Click on that and you'll get donor names where they release their names. And yes, I know only about 15 or 20% of the people release their names. I get it. That's the strength of workplace campaigns, anonymity. Donors tell us that all the time. I wish it was different for you. But in reality, donors give because they like to be anonymous, and that's why they give through workplace campaigns. So we can't change it, nor, I know from the charity's perspective, we'd want to, but not from the donor's perspective. So you download those names and download them all the way back to 2017. Thank those people, remind them that they gave to you last year or in the past, and let them know what $5 a month did for your organization last year. $10 a month will do for your organization this year. Because even if it's from 2017, and they may have retired, retirees are the number one growing sector of the combined federal campaign. And most people will give you their email address. I got a brother that's been in the Marines for 30 years. He's got a Yahoo email address. I know you thought those went away with the Dodo Bird and the AOL email addresses. No, he's got a Yahoo email address. It's the same Yahoo address he's had for the past 20 years. So download those, thank, remind, and let me just give you a little bit of insight. OPM thanks and reminds federal employees 3 times a year. When the campaign kicks off on Giving Tuesday and the last week for the final push, you should do the same thing. Put that on your calendar. I know you have other Giving Tuesday plans, but thank federal employees because we see the biggest spikes in giving when OPM sends out their reminders, and you will too. So download those donor names, use that information that you have at cfccharities.opm.gov. And if you don't have access, or you have trouble getting access because this is new to you, or Chase, you've only been doing this for a month, you probably didn't even know about your CFC charities. Although maybe somebody handed it off to you correctly and you started your account with that. But if you don't have access, exactly as Jen said, reset it by contacting the Central Campaign Administrator. You're going to need this information. You want to know what your history is. And then as we get into the campaign and get into December, we're going to reapply, and this is where you apply your application and your listing is. Any questions about your account at CFC History or cfccharities.opm.gov? The value of it? Okay, because it is, as that video says, we're not going to watch that video. It's a great video to watch, but it is your best friend in the CFC. And no other workplace campaign has this kind of historical data for you to consistently remain, in the campaign and have continuity from year to year. Thanks, Jen.
Sure, not a problem. Thanks, Mike. So I did drop the link to the video in there, and I did re-drop also the information for contacting the CCA in case you need access to that. Another benefit of that site is that, and it's coming quickly, guys, December 1st or 2nd, I think it is this year, the system will open to begin receiving applications for next year's campaign. And so it'll already be time to apply again for the 2025 campaign. And that video does highlight some of the other benefits, such as the fact that your applications, your historical applications, are all there. And so, especially if you are new, 1 month in, you didn't complete the application last year, you're going to want to get in there and look at last year's application so you know what that looks like, what it takes. Did your organization have to go through the appeal process? Were you denied for some sort of, item that was missing or incorrect when you initially applied? And if so, all of that information is there. And so that's a huge benefit, again, being that nonprofits have such a prevalent turnover, being able to access that historical data, whether it's donor names or application history. So definitely take a look. That system provides incredible transparency. You guys can see the contributions coming in. And again, knowing how much you guys have raised in the campaign helps you to plan and prepare and expand those programs that you guys, that the community needs from your organization. So we've gone over registering the virtual charity fair, promoting and publicizing the different resources that are here. The guide that supports this training you're receiving today is also located on the site, the Download the Charity Engagement Guide, which goes over everything we've talked about here today. And so it's a great, easy.
Do you want to share your screen? I don't think you're sharing it.
Oh, sorry, I thought.
Okay, no, because I grabbed it and didn't have you
Thank you.
initiate.
Let me back out so I can show you where I got it. I apologize. When you're on the page, again, at the top here, this charity engagement guide supports the training that you've received here today. So it's going to circle back and touch on all of the things that we've talked about, from promoting your organization, attending CFC events, how to submit the materials, the volunteer hours, promoting your participation, remembering to publicize your CFC code everywhere and anywhere that you promote your involvement with the CFC. So definitely take a look at this. And it does also provide you the contact information for if you have questions about the video you submitted or the information you plugged in when you registered for your events, the event process, you'll be able to find that information as well, and lots of tips. So I believe that we've covered everything, again, that the site does provide to you guys as CFC approved charities. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of knowing it's there and where it's at, and the importance of using what's been created for you as a CFC approved charity. So any questions, comments? Has anybody participated in an event yet this year that you want to speak to? Have you been, if you are registered, have you received invitations? At this point, the CFC, as Mike said, September being fiscal year end, we don't see a lot of activity with events. However, right now is when federal employees are planning, preparing, and requesting charities. So you should start seeing them if you haven't already. Has anybody participated in anything at this point? Yes, Rebecca, we will, I believe, Courtney, did you hit the record button?
Yes.
I did.
Okay, perfect. So Courtney can absolutely provide you the video for this, Rebecca, absolutely. And Mike, I see your hand is back up. I don't know if, assuming you meant that.
Yes. Everybody, when you registered, did you get the confirmation email of the status of your registration? Did everybody receive one of those?
Check your junk box. It could have gone in there. It comes from a really weird incognito form.
It's not Cognito. It's not incognito. It's Cognito Forms. Notifications at cognitoforms.com.
It would go into my junk box. I can
Yeah, it
promise
would
you.
go into my junk box too. So you want to check that out. You want to make sure that it says what you wanted it to say. We've seen so many charities thought they filled it out correctly and then looked at that confirmation. Again, it's notifications at Cognito Forms. I'll type that in. Let me get it right. Notifications at cognitoforms.com. Forms. And so you want to check on that and make sure that what you wanted to submit, they received. That registration process is a little clunky based on what we've seen and heard from other charities. And then we also have seen people that are registered and also not getting invited to local events. So make sure that if you have any questions, as Jen said, you can go to CFC support@charity.org is a great way to, and I think that's who you, is that right, Courtney? CFC support@charity.org. If you have questions about the CFC events, yeah. So send them an email if you have any questions about your notification form from Cognito Forms and what they captured. The campaign.
Hopefully I get this right. I dropped it into the chat. Courtney, if I messed it up, correct me.
So I've done a few
Okay.
trainings, but I wanted to make sure also that you know that the campaign and results, we're only about 10% into the campaign as far as results go. 60% of the money raised comes in on Giving Tuesday and afterwards. So now is the time. We understand it. It's kind of like being a farmer. You plow the fields, you plant, you water, you tend, you weed, do all those things, and then there's a lot of all these asks, what we call as you guys know, in the marketing fundraising side of business, impressions. Making impressions now will pay off in the holidays, during the holidays, and into the new year, because the money doesn't start, the pledges don't start coming in until then. So make sure you continue and find ways to make impressions by going to events. Number one, by thanking your donors from last year. And then, as Jen said, using social media to promote your participation in the CFC. Doing submitting a video is great, submitting a story is great, do all those things. But the number one thing you want to do, thank your donors. Number two, sign up for events. And number three, promote yourself in social media as a CFC certified, CFC approved. The imprimatur of federal employees and their workplace campaign is huge, and you want to promote that to your donors. Many of those donors may be retired. It's a great way to get to these people because they want to, and they find it very easy to give through their annuity.
One of the things I want to point out too is how this nonprofit promotes, this is one organization and many do this. So if you guys have an example and you want to share it with me, by all means, I'd love to see it. This organization at the bottom of their page has their CFC, has the CFC logo, and they've even incorporated their code. And I love how they even put since 2011 in parentheses, that they've been involved with the CFC, and they've properly placed it with, their other seals of approval as nonprofits, right? Which are all very important. What's just as cool is when you click on the CFC logo on their page, they actually bring you to an instructional page. They've got a couple of typos on here, guys. I'm not going to lie. It should say 2024 campaign instruction because that's the campaign we're in. And this should be updated to 2024. So it's kind of comical that they're in 2 different years, but the content is appropriate in that they have provided the link, and they've even shown the user how to search their organization, how to find them, save it to their basket, and give. Like, they make it very easy on their donors in explaining how to select their organization. Again, promoting very easily with just a simple placement of that logo on their website, their participation in the CFC. So we're always looking for the ways that you guys are creative, being creative about promoting your organization in CFC. So if you have examples, feel free to send those our way. We'd love to promote and highlight those. Mike?
Thank you, Lauren. Thanks, Jen. Thank you, Lauren, for putting that question in the chat. That's what we do when we train in the chat. You're correct, and I got back to you as far as reaching out to federal employees directly. If let's say you had a list of GSA employees and you had their emails, you cannot reach out to them at work. Specifically forbidden. But that's not what these donor names are. These are donor names where federal employees have chosen to release information to you, then you own it. And you can absolutely thank them, resolicit them. Generally, these are all personal emails. They shouldn't ever give you their work email. You cannot solicit federal employees at work. You can't reach out to them at work. If you're the American Forest Foundation and you have a list of, or you're a local state park and you have a list of, federal park rangers, you can't reach out to them and say, give to us through the CFC. It's the quickest way to get in trouble with the CFC. But if a donor gives to you and releases those names, you absolutely, and the campaign wants you to, encourages you to thank those donors and remind them. The only thing you can't do with those lists, and you have to every year certify to this, you can't sell, lease, or share those lists of donor names from federal employees who have released their names to you.
I provided the link to the FAQ for charities also, because there is a lot of great information in here, such as, I believe they talk about what you're speaking to as well, Mike, on their FAQ. So
if you have any questions, when Jen goes to some of these things, you can go to, if you have a question, they will send you to charity.mpma.com. You can send any email to that with questions after this, or as you're, driving home, you're stuck in traffic. It's great to be stuck in traffic again. Well, not great, but feels like we're post-COVID. And you're thinking, I wonder if I should do that. I wonder if I can do that. Or I wonder where I get information that I can include. Like, is there a QR code? Where do I get that? Don't hesitate to send us an email and at charity.mpma.com, and I'll get back to you with answers to your questions or the right person to talk to get your questions answered. So anything else, Jen? I just want to thank you thank you, Jen, for doing this, and thanks everybody for partnering with the CFC again this year. We are very excited about the campaign is up currently, about 12% year to date. That's a really good number, and it's up and growing. A couple weeks ago, it was only up 9%. So things are going in the right direction, but there's a long way to go, and we need your help. You need your help in thanking these donors and promoting the CFC. And I understand you have many, many, many other demands on fundraising, and CFC is way down on the list. But nevertheless, federal employees in your community want to know that you're in their campaign, want to be able to give to you, want to see you at events. And as your outreach coordinator managing those events, it's your programs, your passion that inspires us, inspires volunteers, and inspires donors. So please let us work with you, let us see you, let us hear from you, because it's that inspiration that keeps us going through this long 16-week campaign cycle.
Thanks, Mike. Any other questions? I know we planned this, I believe, for an hour, if I'm correct, Courtney. We do like to be brief, be bright, and be gone. That's a best practice of ours. Courtney will provide the video. And Courtney, if you don't mind, in following up to those on the call here, maybe just go through the registration system. Provide them also the charity engagement guide that accompanies the training in that email. That would probably be helpful, and the link to the site, please. Any other questions, comments, pro tips, best practices, things that are working for your organizations that you would like to share? All right. Well, as Mike said, thank you for your participation in CFC. We are so grateful. We are excited to promote your organizations this fall and encourage federal employees to contribute to your organizations. And most importantly, thank you for the great work you do in your communities and the populations you serve. Because of each of you, the world is a better place. We see you. We are grateful for you. Thank you for spending your time with us today. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Courtney. Bye, everyone.